I knew the moment Derek Voss strode into the quarterly review that something was about to break. He wore a crisp navy suit that screamed new money, paired with a smirk that didn't match the red flags flashing across the projected spreadsheets. The room in our Chicago headquarters smelled of stale coffee and printer toner, the kind of Midwestern corporate sterility that made you long for fresh air. I had just closed the biggest deal in Nexus Enterprises history, a $7.8 million 3-year integration contract with Harbor Financial Group, right in my Rust Belt territory spanning Ohio, Pennsylvania, and parts of Michigan. Those accounts were mine. I had built them from cold calls years ago, driving through snowstorms, sitting in cramped conference rooms with whiteboards covered in my handwriting, refusing to quit when everyone else said the region was dead. Derek clicked through his slides about optimizing incentive structures and ensuring sustainable performance equity. Corporate code for we're about to punish the people who actually deliver. He never once glanced my way, never mentioned the harbor win that had kept our numbers afloat while other regions tanked. Instead, he landed on the final bullet: commission caps for top performers. My stomach tightened, but I kept my face neutral. Caps? After I had poured blood, sweat, and late nights into deals that saved jobs, including his shiny new position? The silence in the room felt heavy. A few colleagues shifted uncomfortably, but no one spoke up. Derek sipped his water like this was routine. Effective immediately. Commissions above a certain threshold will be adjusted to reasonable levels with a performance bonus structure. Reasonable. That word landed like a slap. My commission on the Harbor deal alone was north of $400,000, the kind of payout that reflected years of relationship building. I had flown red-eye flights to troubleshoot issues that weren't mine, remembered every CFO's kids' birthdays, formatted proposals exactly how they liked them. These weren't transactions. They were trust earned over long dinners and honest conversations when vendors failed them. I waited until the meeting wrapped. Then came the follow-up invite, compensation alignment session. Polite language masking the knife. I walked in knowing the script. New executives like Derek, parachuted in after a rocky IPO, always targeted top earners first to level the playing field. They stripped the legs from performers to motivate the pack, blamed legacy entitlement, and watched numbers bleed while patting themselves on the back for efficiency. Derek sat flanked by 2 eager VPs who looked fresh out of business school, their hair perfectly gelled, never having closed a real deal in their lives. He gestured vaguely without offering a seat. Congratulations on Harbor Financial, Lauren. Great team win. Team. Always team when it suited them, never when the credit was due. Then the hammer. Given the scale of recent deals, we're implementing caps moving forward. You'll receive a solid bonus, but within balanced parameters. Balanced. They wanted to shave hundreds of thousands off my check. I met his eyes for 3 long seconds. Retroactive. The pause told me everything. One VP nodded. This quarter, Derek confirmed smoothly. I stood slowly, buttoned my blazer, and said only, understood. No yelling. No protest. Experience had taught me silence was the sharpest blade. They craved the outburst, the drama that justified their power play. I denied them that. As I left, I passed a finance colleague who whispered, "You okay?" I smiled faintly. Never better. In the parking garage, I sat in my car with the engine off, letting the silence settle. My phone buzzed. Missed call from Derek. HR notification. I ignored both. Clarity washed over me instead of rage. If they thought capping me would keep me compliant, they misunderstood everything. I drove home to my quiet suburban house outside Chicago, poured a glass of Cabernet, and sat on the back deck as the autumn wind rustled the leaves. My neighbor's dog barked in the distance. No anger, just resolve forming like steel cooling. By midnight, the email draft was ready. Short, professional, no bitterness, effective next Monday. I will be transitioning to independent operations. Updated contact information forthcoming. Grateful for our shared history. I BCC'd the 5 key clients who represented nearly 65% of Nexus's enterprise revenue from my region: Harbor Financial, the healthcare giant Midwestern Health Systems, manufacturing leader Precision Components, banking player Great Lakes Credit Union, and tech integrator Rivertech Solutions. These weren't spreadsheet entries. I knew their internal politics, fiscal calendars, the way their procurement teams operated, the personal stories behind their decisions. I'd answered 2 a.m. calls, fixed vendor mistakes on weekends, delivered roadmaps faster than their own teams. They trusted me, not the Nexus logo. I hit send around 1 a.m. Then I slept soundly for the first time in months. Morning brought the first replies. One simply, expected this. Count me in, send next steps. Another, finally. Let's structure this properly. A third sent a thumbs-up emoji with an image of a woman breaking chains. No fireworks, but quiet alignment. These people followed because I had shown up consistently when no one else did. Derek had never met them. Never understood that sales wasn't pipelines and CRM entries, it was human connection forged in real moments. That evening, I pulled out my original offer letter from 5 years ago, when Nexus had been desperate after 4 brutal quarters in the Midwest. They had begged me to join, promising autonomy because I brought my existing book of business. 4 of the 5 clients were already mine before Nexus. The 5th came through referral. Buried in the fine print was Clause 8C, upon contract expiration without written renewal. Independently originated client relationships revert to the originating representative unless explicitly reassigned. My contract had lapsed quietly last quarter. No one in HR or legal had followed up amid the IPO chaos and Derek's arrival. No non-solicitation active. No renewal executed. Derek's cap wasn't just unfair, it had triggered my legal freedom. I smiled in the dim kitchen light. They had handed me the keys without realizing. The next days blurred into focused action. I registered Carrot Consulting LLC, the name honoring my grandmother's resilient upstate New York roots, symbolizing quiet strength over flash. Simple structure. No overhead. Just me. A reliable tech stack, and a network of freelance engineers I'd collaborated with for years. The website was minimal. Your challenges. Our expertise. Direct partnership. No intermediaries. No buzzwords. Number 40 slide decks. Clients responded steadily. Harbor's CIO emailed, "We've been waiting for this independence. Transition when you're ready." Midwestern Health Systems sent a sign letter of intent within 48 hours. They appreciated the cleaner pricing, dedicated attention, and absence of Nexus's approval mazes and markups. I didn't undercut prices aggressively. I offered value without friction. Same quality integrations, but responsive service from someone who already knew their systems inside out. Meanwhile, Nexus stirred. An old contact texted screenshots of frantic internal Slacks. Harbor unresponsive. Anyone have update? Precision Components ghosted follow-up. New reps were assigned, but clients replied curtly or not at all. One forwarded a LinkedIn message from an overeager junior AE introducing himself with flowcharts. My client captioned it, "Who is this kid?" Procurement flagged issues. Legal got looped in. The realization hit when they finally reviewed my file. Clause 8C sat plainly on page 7, no legalese camouflage. No renewal had been issued despite the lapse. Derek and leadership had been too focused on caps and margins to check legacy contracts. I wasn't poaching, legally. The relationships were mine to reclaim. No breach. No lawsuit possible. The relationships had originated with me. built on personal trust long before Nexus. By midweek, internal panic escalated. Derek called an all-hands for portfolio realignment and continuity planning. Translation: damage control. He spoke vaguely about streamlining and efficient client engagement, avoiding my name. But whispers spread. Someone asked about lost accounts. Derek deflected. Temporary realignments. HR twitched visibly. Finance analysts noted retroactive fixes were impossible post-third-party engagement. I focused on foundations, finalizing EIN, drafting seamless onboarding, pricing models that rewarded loyalty without corporate bloat. Clients appreciated the direct line. No project managers who never met them. No endless tickets. One healthcare exec confided over a call, "Your weekend rebuild of our deployment plan last year? That's why we're here." Not the logo. Derek called once from his personal number mid-onboarding. I watched it ring, flipped the phone, and continued typing. He bet against my relationships, assuming clients followed the company. But loyalty walked with me because I had earned it through consistency, not slides. The fault line widened. 3 clients paused renewals outright. In finance reports, delayed became the terrifying word signaling deeper trouble. The boardroom confrontation brewed slowly. Revenue reports showed enterprise churn spiking 45% in my verticals, concentrated in those 5 accounts. CFO flagged anomalies in pre-board prep, delayed renewals on Harbor, Precision, Rivertech. Sales ops offered vague, awaiting responses. A closed-door session convened with Derek, CFO, and board liaisons. Derek tried reframing, repositioning for higher margin focus, transitional friction. But the CFO pressed. 3 accounts now reference Kara Consulting. Board member leaned in. Is that her new firm? Who allowed Clause 8C to expire? Silence fell. No excuse existed. The clause was standard, clear, and lapsed due to negligence amid IPO frenzy and Derek's CAPS initiative. CFO summarized coldly. We capped a top closer's earnings to save roughly $200,000 short-term, ignored contract status, and lost millions in recurring revenue to her new consultancy, started the same week. Another voice. She originated most of these. We don't own the designs or trust. The room's stillness was deafening, past panic, into calculation. Board chair asked Derek to step out. He gathered his notes silently, door closing softly behind him. They had miscalculated value, short-term margins over long-term relationships. Trust didn't transfer with badges. It followed the person who showed up. On my side, momentum built. 4th client on board with a simple, ready when you are. Make it clean. I knew their pain points from quarters of data, stalled integrations, shaky KPIs. Tired of Nexus bureaucracy. Transitions were surgical, no drama, just momentum. Clients valued the old relationship minus red tape. Fallout solidified by Friday. Revenue report dropped. Enterprise exposure up sharply. Red arrows pointing to unrecovered losses Q2, Q4. Boardroom filled without fanfare. CFO presented bars showing stark drops. Footnote. Partner of record, Kara Consulting LLC. General counsel confirmed. No recourse. Contract expired cleanly. Clause 8C valid. Strategy asked about legal options. Counsel shook head. Breach on our side. Board calculated quietly. This wasn't rogue exit. It was leadership's value misjudgment, capping performance without respecting the human engine behind it. Derek sat rigid, spinning his pen futilely. Chair dismissed him temporarily. No yelling, just finality. Meanwhile, my days filled with smooth onboarding, dedicated service. Clients followed because I knew their worlds intimately. Soccer game texts from CFOs. Paused deployments resuming only when I returned from illness. Weekend rebuilds during crises. You earn that by being the reliable first call, not quarterly check-ins. Carrot Consulting didn't explode. It grew steadily. By month end, all 5 clients transitioned fully. One sent wine labeled loyalty age as well. Business flowed without static, repeatable outcomes. Open calendar filling naturally. Phone rang less dramatically because systems worked. Nexus restructured quietly. Caps lifted in a late Friday policy email. Leadership shuffled. But clients stayed gone. They preferred certainty over new learning curves. I never announced publicly. The story unfolded quietly, one signature at a time. In the end, it was never vengeance but value. They made mine negotiable, so I reclaimed it. The question lingers: when corporations bet against the people who build their empires, do they realize the relationships were never truly theirs to begin with? The numbers always reveal the truth eventually.